Hello, Aegis Fesgarvath. That's hello and good afternoon in Gaelic.
Bonjour. This is welcome or good morning in French.
This is the Deviating Tangents podcast, now episode 6. The show that just keeps getting better and better because...
Or at least we like to think so.
I mean, I've been editing the progression of the show, and I feel like every episode at least gets a little better. And last week's episode is my favorite thus far, and I hope we actually got... So I haven't had a chance. It's only been out for like an hour at this point, so I'm hoping you guys have actually taken to the email, the YouTube comments. I just want to hear from the people that listen to our show.
Yeah, we're almost like professionals here, and we're looking for feedback.
Trying to establish a connection to our audience. But this is a part 2 episode, so if you missed part 1 from last week, go back and listen to that. Or you can listen to this one first. I guess it doesn't really matter which order you listen to them in, as long as you get all the information.
Yeah, the nature of this 2-part episode, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, because we are going over the second half of the Business Insider list of the most nonsensical laws that every state has to offer. We left off last episode having done the New York State. The Empire State bans being masked or in any manner disguised in public with other people dressed in the same getup. So we're going to start this episode moving on to North Carolina's most nonsensical law. A bingo game being conducted or sponsored by a commercial organization may not last more than 5 hours.
Huh. I don't see why you'd need to put a time limit on that. I mean, so I've been to some bingo games around at places, and the clientele that typically go to bingo halls, you know, maybe they can't be awake for more than 5 hours, but that's just because, you know, they're old ladies who will shank you if you start playing around.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't mess with old bingo ladies.
Yeah, don't mess with the old ladies.
Yeah.
They don't like that. It does say here, however, it says, according to the North Carolina State Legislature, non-profit groups can go wild. Mm-hmm. So I think it's about money going back to the sponsor.
Okay, yeah, that would make sense.
I'm less versed in these laws than I was for the last group of laws that we looked at, but I did actually go over this list before we looked into this today.
I have not. The whole point of this is that I'm going in blind.
Yeah. North Dakota. All members of I love this one. I love the harmless, like, strange laws that are designed to make you go, why? And it's just because of the time discrepancy. Yeah. All members of North Dakota's Dry Pea and Lentil Council must be citizens. I don't care about the citizenship. I'm more concerned with the fact that there is a Dry Pea and Lentil Council.
Yeah, so apparently that's important to them over there.
I mean, it's North Dakota. What else they got going for them? Isn't South Dakota Mount Rushmore?
I think it's North Dakota.
I mean, I remember it being really close to Canada, but I thought for some strange reason South Dakota was Mount Rushmore. I mean, we can look that up.
North Dakota is closer to Canada than South Dakota.
Yes, but I thought it was weird for that reason. It's like, it should be in North Dakota, but it's not.
I don't know.
Well, I'm going to look it up. Oh, hey, you lose, you cosplay 10. It's 36 minutes long.
Oh, boy. Little Z, if you're listening,
Come on our show. Or don't.
Yeah, no. Happy birthday. Ooh.
South Dakota.
Oh, see, there you go. All right, I was wrong.
13,000 South Dakota Highway 244 Keystone, South Dakota. 57751. It apparently has a phone number you can call. I understand that's for park authorization, but it's...
Are you saying I can't just talk directly to Lincoln?
That's what I imagined. There's just this big landline phone next to George Washington's head, and you call it, and it goes, hello? That's funny. But yeah, apparently there is a North Dakota Dry Pea and Lentil Council. And to be a member of it, you have to be an American citizen.
I would assume also a citizen of North Dakota.
Oh my god. Created in 1997.
Huh.
This doesn't go back to, like, the 19th century. This is 1997 to promote certain agricultural industries according to the State Historical Society of North Dakota. A national version of the Dry Pea and Lentil Council also exists, but North Dakota obviously decided it needed a more state-focused group for celebrating chickpeas, lentils, and lupins. All right. You guys learned some pea facts today.
I don't like peas.
I'm
not too thrilled on chickpeas and lentils either.
I'll eat, like, if we're talking like green peas.
Yeah.
I'll eat them. They're not my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But
so I've got a weird thing with vegetables. Like, I dislike most vegetables, but I love vegetable soup.
yeah.
Like there's something with the texture there that it's easier for me to process. You know, I don't want to say mushy vegetables, but
Yeah.
you know, not like biting into a carrot and breaking your tooth.
That's kind of what I was going to say. Like, I don't have a problem eating raw carrots, but there's something wonderful about, like, even if it's just a can of Progresso soup.
Yeah.
And it's got, like, the soft, mushy carrots in there. Yeah, there's something about that that's just delicious and delectable. I mean, in soup, that's the only way you can get me to eat celery.
Yeah.
Like, I think celery's just stocky and gross.
Well, it's mostly water.
Yeah. It's like crunchy, dirty water.
It has negative calories.
Yeah, it's that food that it takes more energy to digest it than
Yep.
it actually gives you.
Yep.
Ohio.
More astronauts than any other state.
Mm-hmm. Every operator of an underground coal mine must provide an adequate supply of toilet paper with each toilet. This law clearly makes sense, but the fact that it exists at all raises some questions about basic human decency. And Ohio.
So this is a law that, on the one hand, I am glad that exists. On the other hand, I am upset that it needs to exist.
Yeah.
Just fucking stock your bathrooms. Like, why do you need a law written that says you should stock your bathrooms?
Seriously. Maybe they're miners that have too much, like, I mean, this is like miners we're talking about.
Yeah, especially with coal dust everywhere.
If we learned anything from, what movie was that? Atlantis, The Lost Empire from Disney. The old man Cookie explained to us the miners, what, tetfecta? Quadfecta of food groups.
Oh, the four basic food groups.
Yeah.
Beans, bacon, whiskey, and lard.
You're going to need a lot of toilet paper if that's the only stuff you're ingesting. And I mean a lot. Like, you're going to need a roll per trip.
But how good are baked beans, though?
They're really good. This one's shocking. I'm still on the Ohio thing. But in Oklahoma, okay, so I was talking to Scott about this before we started the episode. We're going to, according to Business Insider's list, we're going to tear open some states today. And this first one takes us to Oklahoma. McCarthyism is alive and well. A state statute still on the books says it is a fact that there exists an international communist conspiracy committed to overthrowing the U.S. government.
Huh.
Such a conspiracy constitutes a clear and present danger to the government of the United States and of this state, the statute continues. So there are communists. They're here. And they're going to overthrow the government.
Well, I'm just so judging by some of the things we've seen this year, I can't really disagree. You know, the January 6th thing that people say, oh, we're just tourists. No. like I don't want to make the show political because
I mean, we tore the government a new asshole last week.
yes, but like, so there are some topics that unfortunately people just can't talk about because no matter what side of an argument you're on, someone is going to be so offended to the point of just shutting you down completely. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, or if they're right or wrong. They're just so entrenched in their ways, it is impossible to have an intelligent discussion about it.
Yeah.
And I believe that, unfortunately, politics fits into that very well.
Yeah. Which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Welcome to the game of politics, where facts don't matter, only your feelings and opinions.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how your team is playing, only the color of your jersey.
Yeah.
And I hate that so much. Like, we are a nation that should be coming together for the betterment of our fellow man. And it just too often boils down to how can the rich make more money?
Mm-hmm.
And how can we marginalize poor people even more?
And I don't want to... What I don't like is that people don't even want to have a debate with someone of the other side.
Yeah.
Which there isn't a side.
Right.
The political parties are supposed to be two different mindsets. Supposed to be. Back when this country was founded, the Republican Party, there was a point where they shifted ideology. Where the Republicans became the Democrats and vice versa. But now, as it should stand, the Republicans are supposed to be the economically minded, business-oriented side of the spectrum, and then the Democrats are supposed to be all about individual and people's rights. And they're supposed to function as such. They're not supposed to lobby idealism against each other in a bid for presidency. That's not how this country's supposed to work.
And behind the scenes, a lot of that is money from big corporations paying these politicians to say what benefits the corporations.
Yeah. So it's like anybody that gets a fat super PAC to fucking pay for their campaign trail. Just seeing who you can align yourself with. That's why independents don't get very far.
Yep.
And the candidacies is because, like, they're completely independent. They can say whatever they want to, and oftentimes need to say. But there's no one backing them financially, so they get just buried by everything else.
Yep. They don't get the screen time that a Democrat or a Republican would because they don't have big corporate sponsors to pay for that screen time.
I don't want anybody to think that we lean any particular way. I identify politically as an independent. I would like to be able to say that I vote Democrat, but no other country, no party in the political system has been able to squander such a head start like the Democratic Party does.
On that same token, it does seem like the supposed teamwork that we should have as a country, there's only one team who's really playing. The other one is just, I'm not going to do anything because that would be helping you, and I don't want to help you.
Yes. Well, that's part of my argument, is that, like, the GOP is 100% like, nope, it's my way, and you have to do what I say.
Yeah.
When the Democrats have all the power right now, you can literally...
So they have the power that the Republicans give them. And if they're not going to play ball, then really the Democrats can't do anything.
The Democrats can overturn the filibuster and choose not to.
Yes and no. So they would need the entire Democratic Party to vote the same way, and then the vice president would break the tie.
Exactly.
However,
that is not happening because we have fucking people in the swamp.
Dinos. We have at least a couple, two of them stick out in particular, Democratic senators who seem to not really be Democrats.
No. Like, I'm sorry to make this show not funny for a whopping 5 minutes,
I want to make it clear that I do not like saying these things, but I also believe that they need to be said.
Like, this is not supposed to be a political show, but I don't like it when people in positions of power seemingly do everything in their power to step on my toes when it's not necessary.
Yeah.
And it's, like we said last episode, fuck every politician. Like, literally all of them. There are some that are actually in this for the greater good, but politicians play by a different set of rules, and they're all looking out for themselves, none of which actually have our true interests at heart, which is why a two-party system is fundamentally wrong.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who get into politics for the right reasons, but then realize, oh, hey,
there's more money in stalling.
Yeah. And it's... I don't want to segue from one difficult topic to another, but it's the same thing with people saying there are no good cops. It's because good cops go in with the right mindset. They see that the system is corrupt and they want to do what they can to change it. And then they realize, oh, no, I'm actually really powerless. The system is stacked against everyone, including people who want to change it for the better. And that just... good cops either leave the force or become bad cops.
I'm wondering if we're going to start to see a shift with that.
Yes.
And on account of all the people that were just released from their position on account of not getting the vaccine.
Yeah, I am cautiously optimistic. I would like to see a brighter future, a more accepting tomorrow. I need to see some more concrete things.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oregon.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Okay, here's a light one. Here's a light one to make here's a light one to make everybody feel better.
So Apollo,
in the state of Oregon, leaving a container of urine or fecal matter on the side of the road is a Class A misdemeanor.
This is a light one?
According to the Oregon State Legislature, you can't throw it from the vehicle either.
Well, I suppose.
Well, I'm not allowed to just leave this here, so I'll just fucking chuck it out my window as I drive by. No. Not today.
I mean, like, that makes sense. You know what doesn't make sense is just leaving it on the side of the road to begin with.
Yeah.
Like, are you pulling off to the side and then, discreetly packaging it and then just leaving it there?
Like, are you bring a shovel and just like bury it a foot underground just right off the highway?
You know what else doesn't make sense is I see trash bags along highways all the time. Just there are times where I can't just be asked to get the trash to the curb, and other people are taking it on vacation before they get rid of it.
Well, so I actually have a little bit of reference on this. There are places, if you have a job that involves like cleaning up houses. I used to work part-time with my uncle cleaning up houses that were abandoned, and they were bought and needed to be flipped with the intent to rent them out to people, and it would be like a rent-to-own home business. But to be able to, flip the houses, we have to go in there, and people would trash these houses. So it's our job to go and clean up everything, like repaint, fix holes in the walls, put down new carpet, fix anything that's broken, that kind of stuff. And so if you're pulling a trailer with a bunch of bags of garbage, and one of them happens to jump ship on the highway, there's kind of not a lot you can do about it unless you go back and pick it up. That's never happened to us, but I've seen it happen.
I suppose.
But that's all I can say about that, really. Like, I don't think people actually take their trash on vacation with them.
I don't know. There's clothes out in an intersection not too far from here that have been there for a couple of days.
Yeah.
I don't
There are some
understand.
instances where it's intentional, where it's like if you go to the inner cities, and you see like the shoes thrown up over power lines, But that's symbolic of somebody. I think it's somebody was shot here.
Gotcha. Okay. If there's symbolism behind it, that's one thing. But like, shoes are expensive.
Yeah, and it's usually the shoes they were wearing at the time of.
That makes even more sense.
I'm not part of the culture of people that do that because I'm a suburban kid, but I believe that's what that is. It's been a while since I've lived in an area that would actually partake in something like that, so I'm a little hazy on the details.
Yeah, the last time I remember someone throwing shoes like that, they landed on Stanley Yelnats, so...
In the state of Pennsylvania, human trafficking, in general, violates too many international laws to count. But Pennsylvania felt it needed to specify under the law that you can't barter a baby.
Well... Again, I am glad the law exists. I am upset that it needs to exist.
Oh no, it gets worse.
Oh no.
But if you do find yourself swapping goods or services for your precious bundle, it's only a misdemeanor, which is usually punished less harshly than felonies, according to the Pennsylvania state legislature. So, I'll trade you $5 in scratch-off tickets.
Has Kremet ever been to Pennsylvania?
Why do you ask? Wait, did you say Pennsylvania?
Yep.
That is where at least 84% of my children were conceived. I mean, you guys know that I steal them, so it's... Yeah, usually from... Well, I mean, it's different. The statute is different because the... You know what, I'm gonna come out here and say, yeah, hi, everybody. Welcome to the Deviating. Oh, you guys already did the intro. Never mind. Yeah, in the state of Pennsylvania... it's different. The statute is different because I steal the children. I'm not bartering for anything. I just take them.
Yep.
Oh, what's this? Can I do the next one? You know what, Kremet? Go right ahead. We'll let you read a few. Yay! So where are we? Okay, that was Pennsylvania. Rhode Island. Someone who bites off another person's limb, ew, will face no more than 20 years in prison, but no less than 1. Now I know where to go on my next vacation.
But remember, don't do it in a snowstorm because that's how you turn into a Wendigo.
Now it says here the law only applies if they maimed the victim on purpose.
How do you...
So wait, Kremet, you're saying that if you bite off another person's limb, you go to jail with a weird time frame, but only if you maim the victim on purpose. How do you, in self-defense, bite somebody's limb off?
Yeah, because like you're not doing that with a single bite. You're there for a while. You got to go all the way around the arm there.
Yeah, I mean, like, what constitutes a limb?
I would assume...
I'd assume, like, any part of the body removed from the rest of the body.
Yeah.
So there's only there's only one means of self-defense that I can think that would be applicable. And we all know what it is.
The big toe.
The biggest toe of them all. So big, you could say it's a third leg that is being... maliciously used to kick the inside of an unwilling recipient's mouth.
This show got weird.
The show got weird as soon as Kremet walked through that door. I'm sorry. I mean, I can leave if you guys don't appreciate me, but I'll just leave the room. I'm part of the lease. Just so you know, I picked up some Cinemax. Don't worry, I'm paying for it though, so it's not like it's not going to be charged to your card or nothing. I'm going to be, you know what, you guys kind of ruined the experience for me. I mean, if you really think there's one, do you really want me to stay out here? You guys seem to be in your own little element, or you're just shitting on the government. I would like to do that too. Can I shit on the government?
You know what, Kremet, go ahead.
Okay, I think that they need to change the way they go about doing things. Who's they? Both parties.
That's fair.
So the
What are some of your
Republicans and
ideas
the
here?
Democrats, they need to change how they're doing stuff. Yes, I think it's literally as simple as the Republicans need to change their colors, and the Democrats need to change their colors.
So it's just a color thing.
So it's not red versus blue anymore. What colors do you want them to turn to? Well, let's see. I've never actually thought about it. I think the Republicans should be yellow, like a dandelion yellow. I think the Democrats should be. I'm thinking magenta. No, not magenta. Puce.
Puce. All right. Dandelion yellow and puce.
Do you think that'll change the nation's turmoil? I do believe so. Yes. So the Republicans need to turn yellow, and the Democrats need to turn puce. Yes. What is puce?
It's like a light purple.
It's a magenta-y purple. It's like a mix between violet and salmon pink.
So, unfortunately, there's a bit of science there that Kremet might actually have a point.
See, I'm smart. I need to hear this. Kremet, what did you accidentally stumble upon? Let the man speak!
So colors actually invoke certain emotions in our brains.
Yes, they do.
There was a game theory episode on this about
This is about boxers.
League of Legends.
Oh.
Or Dota or some kind of...
Where if you play red team, you're more likely to win.
No, actually. If you play blue, you're more likely to win.
That goes against all the science I've ever seen.
So red is more aggressive, whereas blue is more collected and thinking ahead.
Because in the world of, that makes sense from that type of perspective, from a gaming perspective.
Yeah.
In the world of sports, there was a study done. I wish I could remember. I don't remember the basis for the study, so I can't look it up really quick. There was a study that was done where you pulled people off the street to basically just look at two different boxers, or maybe they were wrestlers.
Oh, yep. I know what you're talking about.
One was dressed in all red, the other was dressed in all blue, and you had to ask the people which one seems like a more fearsome fighter. And it was an overwhelming majority picked red.
Right. And what they didn't say is they digitally altered the video so they could pick one in red and pick the other in blue and then show it to someone else with the colors reversed.
I actually don't remember that.
Yeah, so regardless of who was wearing red, the red wearing fighter was shown to be more aggressive, even though the color was just added digitally.
Yes, that has to do with how our brains work on a primordial level, like a more feral, more baser instinct, because it's like human beings, and this is even like a men versus women thing, not versus, but it's how we interpret things differently. Women are not as afraid of blood as men are, because like you have menstruation and stuff like that. That's just scientifically based that women, well, you may be like queasy with blood and stuff, but women are more apt to handle blood than men are.
We're also saying this as two dudes, and I'm not a woman. So...
This is part of a similar test.
All right.
I'm not basing my knowledge in experience because I have none.
I don't want to offend anyone by saying things that we don't have any kind of.
I'm giving power to the girls. It's like if you're a female listening to this show, you most likely can deal with blood better than your male peers. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all the testing was for. But it's like red comes across as a more fearsome color, makes the red fighter seem scarier because as human beings, as animals, we associate red with blood, with danger, and so we want to stay away from it and avoid it at all costs. That's why any animal in the wild that has red on it, we are taught instinctively to just avoid.
Yep. It's also the reason why the power tie is just a very bold red tie.
Yeah.
It's meant to essentially instill fear in people who see it.
Yeah. Like the wide set double Windsor knot.
No.
Unnecessarily long red tie.
Yeah.
South Carolina. Can I read this one? And you know what, Kremet, you furthered our show in a very interesting way, so go right ahead and read this one for South Carolina. Oh boy. Okay, so a male over the age of... You can't make me read this. You're the one that asked. A male over the age of 16 can't seduce a woman by falsely promising to marry her. However, no law exists with the gender roles reversed.
So that's two issues, really. I mean, you shouldn't be lying to anyone about marriage just to get in their pants. Like, that's you shouldn't be lying about anything to get in someone's pants. But on the same token, I don't like laws that are gender specific like that.
Yeah.
Like if truly we are all equal, then why are you making those arbitrary lines?
If found guilty, the man will be charged with a misdemeanor, fined at the court's discretion, and possibly imprisoned for no more than 1 year with a number of exceptions, according to South Carolina State Legislature. I don't like I'm all about a fair playing field.
Yeah.
I am all for gender equality. But I want equality.
Yeah, equality doesn't mean, oh, I'm going to take the good things and ignore the bad things. Equality means you take the good with the bad.
I don't want this to blindside anybody, but that seems incredibly fair.
There are some places where, because of how the law is codified, women cannot be charged with rape. Mm-hmm. Because just the law says that, the man forces himself on the woman. If the woman's the one doing the forcing,
she's not a man.
Yeah.
So the law doesn't apply to her.
Which is a travesty, really.
Yes. And I'm not saying that, oh, poor men.
Yeah.
When men do the majority of the raping,
I wouldn't go that far.
There is a large margin
of reported cases.
Yeah, of reported cases. That's the only data I can go on.
That's true, but at the same time, a lot
That's like the same thing could be said of women are more likely to eat people's pinky fingers because the cases aren't reported.
What I mean is there's a very big stigma on male rape victims, to the point where they either won't report at all, or their reports just fall on deaf ears because, oh, well, you scored with a hot chick. Nice.
While I'm not discrediting your comment, I think there is a stigma on rape victims in general.
That's true, yes.
And that argument can go both ways. For a girl to be told by all of her friends, oh, who cares if he forced himself on you, he's hot.
Yeah.
It's an interchangeable argument. So maybe even if the margins aren't as wide as I think,
yeah,
it needs to be both parties can be tried for the same offense.
Equally. With equal sentences. And none of this, oh, hey, he's a pro swimmer and
oh, are we talking about convicted rapist Brock Turner?
Oh my god. It's fucking 3 months for
wasn't it 2?
I don't know. Either way, the punishment did not fit the crime.
He knows who he is. I read a recent report about him from the last couple months.
He's in textbooks now.
He's also not doing well.
Good.
He has a humble job that pays him next to nothing. Not that people won't talk to him, but he refuses to talk to people. He comes into work.
Understandable.
He comes into work, he does his job, he keeps his head down, and he goes home.
Understandable.
And what I like about the article, I'll have to find it and see if I can find it, I'll put it in post for people to look at. The end of the article that I was reading, actually, I'm upset that I can't remember her name, but the woman he forced himself upon, she was actually gratified at the end of the article, talking about how great she's doing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And how well her life is going and stuff like that. So that was nice to see.
That's good to hear.
South Dakota. We're dodging laser beams this episode.
Yeah, so we're going to have to put that not safe for work
Yeah,
filter on this one.
In South Dakota, liquor stores can't sell alcoholic candy containing more than 5.5% alcohol by weight.
Huh.
I didn't know there was alcoholic candy.
I didn't either. I mean, I know there's like
It's
chocolates that have liquor in them, but like
You always hear things like rum cakes,
yeah,
where it's made in the baking process, but then like it evaporates out when you cook it.
yeah. So alcohol has a lower boiling point than water does.
Yes.
So that's why baking it just or cooking with it in general will give you that flavor, but it won't have any alcohol in it.
Yeah. According to one South Dakota law, liquor stores cannot sell candy containing more than 0.5% alcohol by weight. Considering Kahlua alcoholic chocolates are around 4%, we can assume they won't be hitting the shelves anytime soon.
I do like Kahlua.
It's nice. I need to get some Malibu. For anybody out there for anybody at home that is of legal age to purchase and doesn't mind a drink every once in a while, this is going to sound weird, but please humor me and try it, because it's not that bad. Malibu and Sunny D. Equal parts.
Huh.
It's delicious. That's my subjective opinion.
I'm not really so much of a drinker since I started smoking, but like I do enjoy a cocktail once in a while.
Yeah. Malibu on its own is also really good.
See, I like hard liquor, and
I know you do.
I can't do that on its own.
In the state of Tennessee, you can't hunt, trap, or harm an albino deer intentionally. If you do, the Fish and Wildlife Commission will charge you with a Class A misdemeanor, according to Justia. White deer, as people often call these mammalian anomalies, are extremely rare. Only about 1 in every 30,000 deer is born albino. Some even considered the animal a modern-day unicorn.
So, I'm not sure how I feel about this law. On the one hand, oh hey, it's rare and beautiful to look at, sure, whatever. On the other hand, why single them out? Like just because they're a genetic anomaly?
I mean, they got enough going against them.
That's also true, yeah.
That it's like, we don't need... I think it's also... Because it's a genetic... albinism is a genetic abnormality.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an adaptation. It's a genetic abnormality.
It's a shiny Pokemon.
Albino Pokemon, I almost said. Thank you. I believe albino animals can have not albino offspring, if I'm remembering this correctly. Yeah. So, that doesn't seem right. That may just be more of a semantic law than anything else.
I guess.
Because it's like, if you were to... It's not like they're an endangered species. A normal deer can just be born albino.
They're just a subset of an existing species.
Exactly. Genetically, they're no different.
Yeah.
They're just all white with probably red eyes. Yep. Still cute, though.
I don't hunt, so
Neither do I.
Is
I think it's just a semantic thing. It's like, don't shoot the pretty modern unicorn. I don't know.
Shiny Pokemon are no different than normal Pokemon.
But they sparkle. And are different color.
Whoop-de freaking do, they're not any stronger.
They're cooler to look at, though. Again, it's semantic.
Some of the shiny Pokemon coloring schemes are not great.
Yeah, a lot of them suck. A lot of them suck.
Some of them are fantastic.
Like Caterpie. Have you ever seen a shiny Caterpie?
Isn't it just yellow?
It's red.
Okay.
And Metapod is just also red.
But shiny Butterfree is not the pink that they showed in the early anime.
Yeah. Alright, so Alright. So we touched upon gender politics.
Yeah, this Things got away from us real quick today.
Here's the one I was hoping to get to today. Well, I knew we were going to get to it. I was just waiting for it. Texas. Kremen, I'm going to read this one. Is that okay with you? Yeah, it's fine with me. I don't want to go back to Texas. So, people wishing to run for office must acknowledge the supreme being. If not, they could be subjected to religious tests. This is everything wrong with Texas.
Yep. We're
supposed to have a separation of church and state.
Yep.
And Texas is 100% not doing that.
If you weren't aware,
there's a lot happening in Texas right now.
The United States does not have an official religion because of the separation of church and state.
Yes. You could make the argument that it is some sect of Christianity, but that's like in air quotes because it's not officialized anywhere.
Yeah, that's just because they're loud.
Yeah. Well, I don't even mean that. I mean like the people who settled the Americas.
I suppose.
Whatever they believed in. They were usually Protestant Englishmen.
Yeah. And we've touched on religion before, and you know, if you have something that helps you get through the day, that's fine. But you know, you shouldn't force those beliefs on someone else.
No. Like if somebody inquires to know more, then obviously like tell them what you know, but like lead them to somebody who's more qualified to talk on the subject than you are.
And don't force them to take tests just because they want to run for office.
Yeah. In other words, the law implies that no atheists are allowed to run.
And that's probably the realistic reason why the law was enacted in the first place.
Because they want people that are swayed by a belief system to tell other people what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
It's almost like saying you have to be Catholic if you want to live in Texas. Mm-hmm. Might as well. All right. Well, okay, so actually, now I got a weird thought process about this. Now, unfortunately, due to the xenophobic climate that a lot of the South finds itself in, and I'm not saying all of it, but a lot of it, unfortunately. According to the way that law is written, people wishing to run for office must acknowledge the supreme being. I wonder, could you have a Muslim in a Texas appointed office?
Realistically, no.
But because of that xenophobia, yes.
Yeah.
That I wonder if that has anything to do with the law.
I mean, they're going to interpret the law in the way that is most beneficial to
exactly.
them.
And everyone does that anyway. Yeah. I'm just curious. Like, suppose you had a Muslim, a Muslim individual running for a Texas place of office and won.
Now, let's take it one absurdity step further. The Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
They believe in a higher being.
Can you apply for
that's
political
called Pastafarianism.
Yes. Can you be blessed by his noodly appendage and run for political parties in Texas?
God, I hope so. That'd be funny.
I am not religious. Again, if you have one, that's great. If it works for you, fantastic. It's not for me.
Yeah. Moving on.
Specifically for these reasons. Yeah, let's move.
Moving on to Utah. So, I know you have a hard time remembering yesterday.
Yeah.
But do you remember last week when I read let me see if I can find it. I forget which state it was, so this may take a second. No, we're back up this way. Okay. The one about the train.
The one that's multi-track drifting in my head at all times.
No. Let me see if I can... It's up here. I just gotta find it. There's a bunch of states I gotta go through.
I like trains.
So, in Montana, driving animals onto a railroad track with intent to injure the train can result in a fine.
Yeah, but not for the animals.
Yes.
It's just a train. Yeah.
So, down here, in Utah, no one may hurl a missile at a bus or bus terminal except for peace officers and security personnel.
Hmm.
So, in the writing of the law, missile would mean...
I would assume just anything you can
artillery, a thrown object.
I would assume that it would also extend to, like, rocks.
Yes,
and things
just
like
a
that.
Thrown weapon, improvised or no.
Yeah.
Something thrown, intent to cause damage.
Yeah.
A baseball is a ball to be used as recreation when tossed back and forth, but as soon as you throw it with intent to harm somebody or something, it becomes a missile.
I cast magic missile on the darkness.
Fine, you cast magic missile. There's an elf in front of you. Whoa! That's me, right? But, anyone outside those positions is guilty of a third-degree felony,
Jeez.
according to Utah State Legislature.
I mean, like, you shouldn't be throwing shit at buses, but, like...
You really shouldn't be throwing anything at anyone or anything.
I mean, yeah. The peace officer exception there, kinda... why are we letting why are we letting cops disable buses?
I assume what they want you to think is if one got hijacked.
I guess.
We hijacked a bus, they can't stop us because it's against the law. Well, now cops can do that. Damn it!
Well, I mean, like, you can pull them over, I guess? Like just throwing shit at the bus trying to get it to stop, I feel like is more detrimental and would cause more damage than like just throwing a spike strip or something.
Yeah. Stingers, as they're called.
Yeah.
In the state of Vermont, the legislature created a law that prohibits outlawing solar collectors and clotheslines, listing both items as energy devices based on renewable resources.
So that is a good law, and again, is one that I'm upset that needs to exist.
Yes.
Because otherwise, they could outlaw clotheslines. What?
Clotheslines have existed since always.
So that reminds me of a story. I forget what year it was probably 50s, 60s, whatever. A dude was advertising a new solar-powered clothes dryer. It was a clothesline.
I mean...
people sent him tons of money, and he sent them string.
I mean...
It was fantastic.
Right. Solar and wind-powered.
That's an issue that a lot of people don't think about. Is just how uninformed they are and how easily tricked that lets them be.
By buzzwords.
Yeah.
We live in an age of buzzwords.
There was a radio station that actually came under fire with, I think, the FCC, because they said the town's water tower had deadly dihydrogen monoxide in it.
Yeah.
And, like...
That's just water.
Yeah.
But they labeled it as a chemical compound, which makes people afraid.
Exactly. Like people called into the station. They called into like the National Guard and shit, and like all because people don't understand that's just water.
Mm-hmm. And it's like water can be in any numerous host of bad things.
Anything can be spun to be bad. Like. This dangerous chemical can cause third-degree burns. It can erode mountains. It can cause metal to oxidize and rust. Sure, all of that's true, but you're talking about water.
Water does, in fact, do all those things, but you need that.
Yeah.
It's water.
Yeah.
I don't get it. There are too many legitimately stupid people. I mean,
not just stupid, but naive and uninformed.
I think that's worse.
Yeah. Well, so with that, I'm going to disagree. I believe the people who choose to be stupid are worse than the people who just don't really know things.
Yes, because then because the people that choose to be stupid are usually doing so to get something out of it.
Yeah.
And those are the people with positions and platforms to spread their stupid information to other people.
Yeah.
We're a very pointed show. but it's our show.
We're not sponsored by anyone.
I can say what I damn well please. In Virginia... Oh, I remember this one. This one's weird. Virginia. An odd law still on the books suggests Virginia is for prudes, not lovers. Because fornication, or sex, completed banned. That's a typo. Fornication or sex is completely banned, except for married couples. It's still technically punishable as a misdemeanor, according to Virginia state legislature.
That's just silly.
I'm sure no one enforces that, but it is apparently enforceable.
and how would you enforce that? How would you...
You'd have to break into somebody's house
and catch them in the act.
But then you're in more trouble for like breaking and entering when there was no need. You didn't have a warrant.
You suspected someone was breaking the law because, you know, that you heard moaning.
And even then, what if they're married?
Yeah.
It's like there's just too many. There's too much.
It's like that Texas law where you can't have more than 3 dildos in the entire household.
That's funny.
Like teenage girl exploring her body can't because Granny is a freak. What the fuck? like that's an absurd situation to find yourself in.
But it's no doubt existed. Someone has lived that reality and learned about it the hard way. I can only imagine I can only imagine how that conversation goes. What, 17, like 16, 17-year-old girl comes home.
Let's say 18 to keep things legal.
Sure, but like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You say exploring your sexuality, and that makes me think it's gonna happen sooner.
Yeah.
But sure, for legality reasons, let's say 18. Comes home with a toy to explore her sexuality, and only feels that she can confide in her grandmother, who has always been super supportive. And she shows her this new thing she brought home, just for Granny to go, you have to get it out of the house. Why? I checked the Texas state law. We're allowed to have up to 3. I only got 1. I have like 9. Don't add fuel to the fire. Washington. In Washington state, doors to nearly all public buildings must open outwardly.
So this is actually a good law and makes sense if you know why.
Well, it says down here. Well, I can read this. Tell me why. I want to see if that jives with what it says here.
Fire codes. So if the building is on fire,
that's it.
There you go.
Anyone who violates this will face a misdemeanor charge, according to Washington state legislature. The statute does explain why, though, to avoid congestion during emergencies like fires.
There you go. If the door opens in, then you need space for that door to swing open in, and if everyone's trying to get out at the same time, you're all going to be pushing up
against...
There will not
be room.
Exactly.
And then people get trampled.
Exactly.
People will get trampled anyway.
Yeah. But now they get trampled and also live, as opposed to getting trampled and then burned to death.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's... I believe is also a law in other places, or if not a law, is just, building codes, but... that door opens in. Huh.
This isn't Washington.
I mean, that's true.
Also, I feel this particular apartment building there are 2 sides. There are 2 ends. So technically, I can think of this whole side as one building.
Yeah.
There are only 6 buildings. And if it's a 1-bedroom apartment, let's say comfortable living arrangements is maxed at 4.
Yeah.
So 4 times 6 is 24. I think 24 people can calmly and in an orderly fashion, gather in the foyer to let themselves out of the building.
I don't know.
The people on the ground floor can get out through their windows.
Things go crazy when panic ensues.
Well, I'd rather fight off 23 crazy people than 500.
That's also true. I'm thinking back now, and like most of the apartment buildings have all had doors that open in, which, you know, sounds like a problem, but I don't know.
I honestly couldn't come up with a reason, not in a reasonable amount of time, as to why that would be. So
I think residential, you know what, it might be different because residential versus commercial.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not well versed in building codes. I just happen to know random bits of information.
Yeah, because then it's more inclusive.
Yeah.
You're closing the door on the outside.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
I guess.
It also might have to do with how locks participate in door thresholds. There's a lot of things it could be. But in West Virginia, don't attempt to substitute a hunting dog for a ferret. Anyone who hunts, catches, takes, kills, injures, or pursues a wild animal or bird with a ferret will face a fine of no less than $100, but no more than $500, and up to 100 days in jail, according to West Virginia State Legislature. I want to know more about this law.
For what possible reason is there a ban on hunting with a ferret?
I don't know. They're just tiny little socks with emotions. They're cute.
Sure.
I think they're cute. I mean, I think...
I'd take a cat any day.
I think snakes are cute, so it's like there's a range for what I'm willing to call cute.
Yeah.
In the state of Wisconsin, in America's Dairyland, many different kinds of state-certified cheeses like Munster, Cheddar, Colby, and Monterey Jack must be highly pleasing.
I can kind of understand this. So like if your state is known for a certain thing, and
you kind of have this this standard. You have to hold yourself accountable to. I love the further information. It says, according to Wisconsin State Legislature, non-tasty cheese is technically punishable by law.
Well then.
We're coming for you, Wisconsin. If we don't like your cheese, you're all going to jail.
And that's a difficult thing to quantify because taste is very subjective.
Yes.
So what if the guy who's taste testing the cheese that day just, you know, oh, I don't happen to like this particular style of cheese, go directly to jail.
Yeah. I want that to be on, like, Wisconsin Monopoly edition. One of the chance cards. Tourists didn't like your cheese. Go directly to jail. All right, we're coming up on the last one. Hey, Kermit, not the other one. Kermit, do you want to read the last nonsensical law for the state of Wyoming? Sure, I'll be right there. Give me a sec. Welcome back, everybody, to the Deviating Tangents podcast. This is the 50th nonsensical law in this Business Insider list for the state of Wyoming. It is reportedly... You really like giving me the weird ones with the animals, don't you? It is reportedly illegal to cut, sever, detach, or mutilate more than 1/2 of a sheep's ear. Now, would you like me to read the footnote?
I would.
According to Wyoming State Legislature, violations are felony offenses punishable by up to 5 years in prison. However, less than 1/2 is totally fine.
I don't... That doesn't give me any more information.
So, Kermit, if I may. Kremit, sorry.
Jim Henson, please don't sue us.
Happens all the time. It reportedly illegal to cut, sever, detach, or mutilate more than 1/2 of a sheep's ear.
Yeah, but like, why?
As long as you make it 49%, 50% or less of the sheep's ear.
Why are you mutilating sheep ears?
That's a bigger question that we should be asking.
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I can understand like tagging them to keep track of them with you know the big number tags or whatever.
Yeah.
That's fine. But like, that's essentially just an earring for a sheep.
Yeah.
are you cutting off parts of the ear here?
Are lamb's ears valuable?
I don't.
Are they a poachable commodity?
I would hope not.
I would hope not either. I mean, lambs are like sheep are a dime a dozen, so almost practically so. But I don't know. That's kind of weird. I wish we had a fun, bombastic one to end the episode. We still got like another. I mean, we could do a short episode if we wanted. We're at an hour. I don't really have any other things to talk about other than how excited I am that Nintendo Switch Online is now. It's been apparently brought to my attention that in the Eastern Standard Time zone, NSO, the expansion pack is coming to available homeowners at not homeowners, Switch owners. This is what happens when you do a show for an hour and have to jump around a lot of information.
Yeah.
So 7 p.m. It'll be a week by the time anybody hears this. So
yeah.
You'll all have it. It'll be available now. It has been available for a week. Go get it.
I like the idea of an expansion. I know some people have some contentions with it, saying, "Oh, it's overpriced. You're just buying an emulator." I get that. I understand their point of view.
It's a fair concern.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like we always say, if you don't like it, you don't have to buy it.
Yeah. Very much vote with your wallet for anything. I've disagreed with Blizzard's business practices for quite some time now, and they have not seen a dime from me in over a decade.
And I'm sure you're not the only person that feels that way.
Yeah, and it hurts because like I used to be a huge World of Warcraft player, and like I want to play the game again. I do not want to support Blizzard.
Yeah.
On the same token, I've got no problem giving Nintendo, a couple extra bucks to play classic games that shaped my childhood.
Yeah, we've talked about this before, not on the show, but like we talk about this kind of stuff with each other a lot. And it's like PlayStation Network and like PS Plus and Xbox Live have been $60. $50-$60 since day one. You guys have been, and I understand all the stuff you can get with, and like the Xbox Game Pass and PS Now and stuff like that. It's like, yes, they offer services, but Nintendo has been doing Switch Online at $20 a year, which is really
for the entirety of the Switch lifecycle, which is 4 years old now.
Exactly. Well, because NSO was 2018, September 2018 NSO was launched.
Okay, so 3 years.
So yeah, but like even so, it's like it's been $20 a year that whole time.
And Nintendo has historically, they've done online stuff before without charging for it.
Yeah.
I remember going online with my DS and not needing to pay for any kind of online things.
Yep.
Whereas I think the PSP had like paid online or something.
I didn't have a PSP.
I don't know, but like to say that Nintendo is overcharging when historically they've undercharged for quite a few services, I think is disingenuous.
Yeah. I mean, and we actually watched a couple videos about like, how disappointing it is with the price hike. We watched the one Arlo video.
And I love Arlo.
So do I. And I was, because we were talking about it, we're like, there's all these people that are ragging on the price hike and they're going to get it anyway. And at the end of his video, Arlo's like, I'm against it by principle, but I'm going to get it anyway. And it's like, what did I say?
And like, even if it doesn't look attractive to you right now, I mean, this is just the fledgling, hey, this is the first step that we're doing. I firmly believe that the Animal Crossing DLC is not going to be the only DLC they add to the expansion pack.
Yeah. There's a very... It's a guess, but it's like, it's a very fair assumption that why not tie more DLC to this thing?
Yeah, So on the one hand, I'm not super thrilled with tying DLC to a subscription service. On the other hand, if I'm not super sold on buying the DLC outright, if I can get a taste of it just because I'm also playing these emulators, that's all well and good. Well, I'm getting more for nothing.
Yes, that's the other thing, though. It's like, with the more DLC that is being tacked on to the expansion pass, now, if there was a game you were hesitant about getting because you wanted to play all of it, but didn't want to pull the trigger on the whole game, now that DLC, which was going to cost you an extra $20, is already in your subscription. Yeah. As long as you have it. And this has been my gripe with it so far. Everybody's like, I don't want to pay an extra $30 to get the Animal Crossing thing and my N64 games I've been waiting so patiently for. We're getting a Genesis emulator, which, again, kind of like the N64, is kind of small potatoes, but there's really good titles on the Genesis. Like, I was sold when I saw Shining Force. Anybody that likes tactical JRPGs like Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics, try Shining Force. It's a very fun game. It is not afraid to kick you in the teeth with how difficult it is. You're gonna have to, like, use the egress spell and, like, redo areas again and again to level up, because if you just shoot through it in a straight, like, single-shot event, you are going to get overwhelmed very fast. But it's a fun game. Phantasy Star 4, fun game. Rystar, fun game. Strider, the definitive Strider, is technically on PS1, but the original was on NES. Super Nintendo did not have Super Strider. Strider was, like, made famous by the Genesis. Gunstar Heroes, great co-op game that you can just sit on a couch, kind of like Pocky and Rocky, but not that kind of a shooter, and just enjoy with a buddy for a couple hours. That's a great way to fucking spend an afternoon. And then there's the N64 games, and we're getting a bunch of drop titles that are great.
Yep. And I can understand the not wanting to pay for an emulator for games that, you know, you have probably bought before and might still have in your collection in somewhere.
Yeah, if you never moved your Wii library over to your Wii U, or just bought it straight out on your Wii U, people have already spent the $10 for all of these classic titles already.
Or even, you know, just have an N64 with cartridges.
That still works. I never should have.
My point, though, is all of these games on Xbox Game Pass and PS Live or whatever, those are also emulated games that you've likely paid for before. So why do you have an issue with Nintendo doing it?
The Mac Daddy of all the things you take for granted.
Yeah.
I know I said take for granted. What? I'm talking about rocks.
That you cannot throw at a bus.
Yep. Because then it is a missile. You also can't throw... Well, it would have to be an animal, because then you couldn't throw it in front of a train with intent to harm it. The English language is weird.
Yep.
Granted. Don't take things for granted. But it's don't take things for granted. It's just fast. I think that's also because we're New Yorkers and we talk through our sinuses.
Yeah. I don't know. I have no problems with the expansion pass here.
Neither do I. I mean, I've talked to you about this before. If the original Nintendo Online, like Switch Online service, if it was $50 out of the gate, I still would have bought it.
Yeah.
I would have just assumed it's like, yep, everywhere's charging $50. It's just what the going rate is. So I just would have just ponied up and paid for it.
Like, I don't play very many games online, but the ones I do, I'm glad that I have the Switch Online for it.
Yeah. And we were also talking about this. This was last week. If you, for anybody that buys into it now, when it's kind of in its bare bones state, Nintendo has this history of rewarding.
Oh yeah. So the 3DS, when it first came out, it was expensive. And Nintendo does not like doing price drops.
No.
for hardware, for software, they do not like charging less. For anyone who bought the 3DS when it first came out at its more expensive price, when they lowered the price for newer models, any early adopters of the 3DS were enrolled in the 3DS Ambassador program, which gave them access to emulated Game Boy Advance games that no one else has access to.
And you were prorated for that extra money you spent.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that. Yeah. And that kind of leads into what I was talking about, or was going to mention, because I wanted to talk about the long-term reward plan for people that like stick with the company, is if you, yes, the new plan is going to be double, and you can still get the old plan.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to just say, oh, well, I guess I can't have Nintendo Switch Online anymore.
Yeah, it's still going to be $20 a year. It's just, if you want the expansion, it's going to be
exactly.
a lot more.
And if you put money into that expansion, imagine if a million people that already had NSO spent $30 more for the year to get the upgraded one. Mm-hmm. That's $30 million that Nintendo can use for R&D to make more emulators,
or pay the licensing fees to get more games added to these emulators.
Exactly. Like,
which I think is more of an issue. Once you have the emulator, there's not really much more work that needs to be done. It's just the licensing to get the games on there.
To be able to do it legitimately.
Yeah.
Which is like, I know there was a lot of hearsay around what emulator was going to be in the September Nintendo Direct, and it's like, I was holding out for N64 games, and I'm glad that's what we got, but there was a lot of like, I want my Game Boy Advance emulator. Mm-hmm. And no sooner than that Direct came out, they announced the Advance Collection, the Castlevania Advance Collection, mm-hmm. which had Circle of the Moon, Harmony of Dissonance, the one I didn't play super a lot,
Aria of
Sorrow, and Dracula X, mm-hmm. which was a Genesis game, but even so.
Aria of Sorrow is one of my favorite games.
It is one of my favorite. It's probably my favorite Castlevania. I love Symphony of the Night, but Aria is maybe my favorite Igavania Castlevania game.
I wasn't too thrilled with the sequel there on the DS, mostly because of the touchscreen seals that you need to do after a boss. But
yeah,
there are cheat codes to get past that. No, but I like.
You can't just play a game, can you?
I like what I like.
But you just like cheating at stuff when it's too hard.
No, it's so the thing with the seals, after you kill a boss, a graphic pops up on the touchscreen.
Yep.
And you need to draw the seal to essentially end the boss fight.
Mm-hmm. But you have to do it within a time limit.
Within a time limit, and you have to do it correctly.
They get more complicated as the game goes on.
Exactly. And I don't think that really adds anything to the game. I think it's just, oh, hey, touchscreen gimmick.
It's a gimmick, but it's supposed to like immerse you into the world of your game. It's not just, oh, I killed a monster and sealed it away. I drew the rune, the seal, the emblem. I did that.
So with some games, I agree. Phantom Hourglass is fantastic for immersion. There's one puzzle that requires you to close your DS, and I think that is fantastic.
Yeah.
For the Aria of Sorrow sequel, which for some reason the name escapes me.
Aria of something. The Soma Cruz games all got the names Aria of, and then I can't remember what the other word is.
For this game, I think it's just tacked on. I don't think it actually adds anything to gameplay, and there's what a one-line cheat code that just skips it. I don't know. I don't like it.
I like stuff like that. I mean, I'm all about accessory,
I guess,
with stuff like that, because the DS was a console that was all about accessory.
Yeah. So I do love the dual slot mechanic.
Yes.
So if you had a completed Aria of Sorrow cartridge and put it in your DS while running the DS version, you would get bonus gear added to you just starting the game. And that's fantastic. I love things like that. It was big on Pokemon as well.
Yep.
So if you're playing Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, the Game Boy Advance versions of Pokemon in the DS, it would increase the likelihood of certain Pokemon appearing dependent on which of those Gen 3 games you had in slot 2.
Yeah, that had happened to me, and I didn't know why it was happening because my copy of Leaf Green was always in my DS anyway.
Yep. I like the interconnectivity of Nintendo games. We've talked about this before with Four Swords Adventures.
Yep.
I like the, you don't need a whole bunch of equipment, but if you have all the equipment, everything connects together, and it's fantastic. The e-reader was a fantastic thing that unfortunately was a commercial failure.
Yeah. Look at the multiple disc systems.
Yeah.
Nintendo's been trying to do stuff on disc for much longer than we give them credit for.
So Nintendo was like the first big game company. Like yeah, Atari existed, ColecoVision existed, but like Nintendo was the gaming company.
Yeah, Nintendo was always a gaming company. They go back to like the 1700s making Hanafuda cards.
And like, so this story has been said a million times, but like, Nintendo spawned both Sony and Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not them as companies, but spawned the PlayStation and the Xbox.
As gaming divisions.
Yeah. So, Nintendo was working with Sony to develop a disc-based system.
Talking about the Philips?
Yes. Nintendo wanted to put games on discs and had a deal with Sony. And right at the last minute, Nintendo's like, you know what? No, we're going with Philips instead. And Sony was like, well,
that's rude.
Yeah, so we're going to cut out all of the cartridge-based stuff from this system that we've been working with together, and just, now this is a purely disc-based system that runs on our proprietary software. Mm-hmm. And now we have the PlayStation.
Yeah, because otherwise they'd have had to go through Nintendo to get the cartridges, because Nintendo, especially in the NES era, was monopolizing that tech.
Ben Heck has a video where he actually gets to look at the Nintendo PlayStation. As far as I'm aware, it is the only one in existence.
Just like a demo draft copy?
The prototype hardware, yeah. So it's an actual Nintendo branded PlayStation. It takes cartridges, it takes discs.
That's cool.
And when Nintendo broke that deal, Sony just took out all of the Nintendo stuff and made the PlayStation.
Yep, and then you have a proprietary piece of analog equipment, I guess.
And then, Microsoft, seeing the success of the PlayStation, was like, hey, we can do that.
I mean, we already do all this stuff anyway that people use for gaming.
Yeah.
So.
And that's how the Xbox was born. So both the PlayStation and the Xbox exist because Nintendo broke a deal with Sony.
Shocking.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories about gaming console history was I just always thought this was so weird because we never thought of, I guess it comes in waves. When I was a kid, I never thought of a gaming console, and I'm talking like an NES or a Super Nintendo or a Sega Genesis, even an N64. I thought of it as a video game console first. Mm-hmm. I didn't give any concept to the idea of, machines like that being computers, essentially.
Because you're young, you have no concept of what anything is.
And before that generation of console gaming, family entertainment centers were also computers. Mm-hmm. And then there came into this shift where when the PlayStation 2 came out, it sold so overwhelmingly positively. The PS2 still to this day, I believe, is the most sold console, not game, but console of all time, because it was being used as a personal computer.
Yep.
And so much so, and it was so powerful apparently, that upon its release, Sony was not allowing it to be shipped into the Middle East for fear that the Taliban would use it.
Yeah, I think even the U.S. government bought a whole bunch of them.
Exactly. We were doing like FBI flight sims and covert ops on PS2s.
Sony actually released a Linux distribution that would run on the PlayStation. Just natively, you pop the disc in and boom, it's a Linux computer.
Yeah. I love stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And you don't think of our gaming consoles being strong enough to rival our computers.
And nowadays, they're stronger than some computers.
Yeah. PS5 and the Xbox Series X are really starting to blur that line between standard home computer versus video game console in terms of computing power. And I like seeing that amount of freedom. I mean, there is truly some things you're only ever going to be able to do on a PC.
Yeah.
But I don't want to pay $2,500 to make a PC that strong.
I mean, the prices for things have been coming down if you can get your hands on a good graphics card. But I've always really been a PC gamer. Again, I used to be a huge World of Warcraft player, but I do like the dedicated gaming systems.
Yeah.
Like, I have a Switch, I have a Wii. I like I like holding a controller in my hand.
So do I.
And yes, I know I can also do that on a PC, but I like just the I guess simplicity of it.
Yeah.
That things just they work.
That they're designed for this purpose.
Yeah. And yes, you can absolutely do that on a PC.
I guess optimized is the word here.
I mean, I've used a Wii remote on my computer before just to say I can.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of a pain.
Yeah. That's like I haven't been playing it so much lately, but I play Overwatch. I have it on both PS4 and my PC. And it's a shooter. Shooters work so much better on PC than on console. Mm-hmm. And I only play it on console. Mm-hmm. Just because it looks and feels nicer to me, because the hardware and, well, the software is designed to be optimized effectively with the hardware. Versus over here, it just feels like a bunch of just weird jank.
On that same token, Diablo is well, I suppose it started as a PlayStation game, but when I played Diablo, it was on PC.
Same. When I first played Diablo, it was PC.
And like, yes, there are console versions. I would prefer to play it on PC.
Yeah. I can go either way with Diablo. Like, I think it was for Dark Souls 3, when Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls edition came out. Mm-hmm. I bought it and like we raided the game for like 2 months straight, and then I never played it again. But there are some games that I think make the split very well.
Yeah.
Or make the jump.
Others do not.
Yeah.
Others are very forced, and you can tell it's just to make more money.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
Yeah. It's a sad feeling seeing a franchise you love just get dragged through the mud because of corporate greed.
Mm-hmm. Not just video games, anything.
Yeah.
Some things need to die, and some things are okay with dying, but network executives and people that have all the money, they just want it to wither away into something that it's barely alive but still producing a profit. I'm looking at you, Skyrim. Thinking you can sell me a video game on 7 different consoles and I'll buy it every time. You're right, but I'm not going to be happy about it.
But you still don't have it for your smart fridge yet.
Do we have a solid number on how many devices Doom can be played on?
All of them.
All of them?
There was one Mac laptop that had like a screen on the top of the keyboard for like emojis and some shit. and someone ported Doom to it in like super ultra widescreen.
Specifically that screen though, because it's non-related to the actual function screen of the thing.
Yeah. I love shit like that. There is a keyboard that I want that they don't make anymore. The Optimus Maximus keyboard. It has, I want to say, 144 OLED keys. So each key is its own screen and can be updated on the fly. It needs an SD card slot just to store its own settings and has its own power supply.
Wow.
I want to put Doom on it. like both on each individual key and also just on all of the keys at once.
Yeah.
Just because. Just because.
I'm fine with a $12 Logitech combo wireless keyboard and mouse.
Well, to be fair, I've wanted this keyboard since I played Warcraft, and I was a, let's say, less than good player. I did not keybind my spells because I couldn't really memorize them, and if I can just have the spell icons be on the keyboard and I can just push what spell I want to cast, like that seems so much easier than actually memorizing key bindings.
Yeah.
I don't know.
MapleStory actually had a function where you could pull up your key binding menu, but if you ran the game windowed, you could move that window outside the game window, so you could watch.
Just have it on screen.
You could just have an on-screen legend of what all your buttons did. I'd be lying if I didn't say I've done that. There are some classes where, like, you get so many skills, you need to remember that you have button options.
Yeah. I mean, I played a hunter, so I pretty much hit 2 buttons, but, you know, that I was not a good hunter.
Yeah.
I was the best hunter, but I was not a good hunter.
Yeah. In context, was I the best person I or anyone who knew me knew? Yes. But in the unfortunate reality of the rest of the world, was I great? Not really. I don't know. I'm excited.
So I need to say the story because I've mentioned it to her a couple of times, and we cut it out the first episode.
Oh.
Yeah, so a story from when I was playing Warcraft. So a member of my guild was hunting for this mount, and as you know, super OCD achievement hunter, I need everything. I also needed to acquire this mount. So, you know, we'd both be running this raid to get Ashes of Alar. So it's a Phoenix mount with, at the time, a unique model. It might still be unique. I know there's another one that's a different color, but anyway. So she's been looking for this mount for a long time, and I start running the raid because I need it as well, and it just so happens to drop for me. Now, what happens when you get a mount like this, because it's such a rare drop, it actually gives you a feat of strength. So it's like an achievement, but harder to get. It's not listed until you actually get it, etc. I did not get the feat of strength immediately. The feat of strength comes from learning the mount and adding it to your character, not just simply picking it up and putting it in your inventory. She was not online at the time the mount dropped for me. The next day, I log on and I see her running Battlegrounds. So she's off doing something, she's interacting with other players, whatever. I tell her that once she's done with that, I have something important to show her. So she quits out of the battleground and comes and meets me in a city, and I learn the mount right there in front of her, and then start flying circles around her.
And then you take off.
And then I take off. Just to rub in that, oh, hey, I got it and you didn't. Ha 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 ha. And
some friend you are.
Yeah, right? We are still friends. We still talk. It's funny. But, you know, now she's immortalized on the show. So you are welcome, Featherin.
I can't think of a better way to end this episode. Thank you, everybody, for dealing with part 2 of the Ridiculous Laws episode of Deviating Tangents podcast. This was a weird one.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of really heavy laws.
Yep.
So we had to...
Some heavy tangents
that
there.
I wasn't going to... like, it'd be weird to be like, so... New Orleans, and then nothing, and then it's like Kansas. I understand, like, Louisiana is a state, not New Orleans, but you know what I mean.
That was the jambalaya doesn't...
Yeah, New Orleans was the jambalaya one.
Yeah.
See, you remember stuff.
Not whatever.
You remember specific bits of information.
That is true. I cannot recall them at any point, but if they're up in conversation, then, like, the connections just happen.
Yeah. But hopefully we didn't spurn anybody too horribly.
Yeah, so... We're gonna get canceled.
I don't want to shy away from topics like that when they come up, but it's like, how best do you talk about a situation when you are a demonized version of... That's not what I want to say. But when you belong to a group of people that doesn't get to talk about these things with a sense of ease.
Yeah, there are some things that just can't really be talked about in any kind of, you know, open discussion because people are just so entrenched in their ways and
people just want to be angry.
Yeah, that's really what it boils down to.
People want to be angry. That's really, you just said it. That's all it boils down to. But before we tangent about this too much, no other show can try to end itself and then be like, yeah, but by the way,
6 hours later.
But so hopefully we're going to talk about something fun in episode 7. I don't know what yet, but it's going to be something fun. So hopefully you will all meet us over on episode 7 next week when it drops. Hopefully you guys are going to be hopefully nice with the emails and the YouTube comments.
I've not seen any responses from any listeners, and I'm again cautiously optimistic, but realistically, I understand it's easy to hate me. Go for it.
It's very easy to hate me. But that's our show. Everybody have a good night.
Au revoir.